My Sunday starts out me waiting for most of my friends to show up late to Sunday school. Then we talk about important subjects with Marco and Ann, and I provide the Catholic perspective of the subject. Turns out my education has not gone to waste. Then off to worship. I enjoy every moment I spend during worship, from the first hymn to the first scripture reading, to Dolores' really enthusiastic children's sermon, to the second hymn, to the second scripture reading, to the morning prayer, to sitting down and listening to Linda McKnight sing beautifully over the entire choir, to the good news, to the third hymn, to the doxology, to the offertory prayer, and finally to the benediction. South Main is the place where I have everything in common with the believers. At Catholic Mass, I experience the feeling that I'm an outsider. At St. Thomas, I'm an outsider looking in. While at South Main, I'm an insider looking out. An outsider in the fact that I don't know what's going on, and an insider in the fact that I experience a very different type of worship. And I look out because what I experience here shapes how I live out there. Over the past 4 years, I have learned more about the Catholic faith than I've ever wanted to know. I eventually found my place at St. Thomas, playing football and hockey, losing at football and hockey. My football coach would say, "Men, we're the best 2-8 team in the playoffs." It's just a real self-esteem booster. Rather than a fellowship of believers, I found a fellowship of brothers. And I wouldn't trade anything for them or my experience there. The fellowship I discovered was anything else that I could find at any other high school. But the truth is, I never really bothered trying to find a fellowship of believers at St. Thomas, because I realized about halfway through my sophomore year that I've always had a family of grace that I could love, and where I found love, right here. And part of the good news I've discovered at St. Thomas and South Main is that there are believers in many different places, and there's more that unites us than divides us. There are places made just for us, where all of the believers are together and have everything in common. You have always been that community for me, because y'all are the church. You make up the church. And today, before I run off to college, I just wanted to thank you for that. Do you want to keep this up here?
Last year for camp, the youth drove to Orange Beach, Alabama. Kevin and a friend from a sister church had worked months to create a camp experience unlike any other year. The scenery was beautiful and the weather was perfect. Every night after worship, we would have some time for just South Main to reflect on where we'd seen God that day and what we were learning. Luckily, our church got the bigger meeting room due to our size compared to their size. We were in what looked like the hotel's party room, although it doesn't compare in size to our fellowship hall. The walls were blue and the back door led right out to the pool and then onto the beach. It seemed as if they had once used this room as an actual hotel room, but had converted it into a rentable room when it became necessary. On the last night, Kevin walked in with a ball of string and said he wanted to try something different. At first, everyone groaned in their minds due to our lack of sleep and everything we'd gone through already. He introduced us to the string game. We would sit in a circle and one person would start with a ball of string holding onto it at the end. They would give the ball of the string to someone that they had learned something new about, or someone that they had met, or someone they had seen God through that week. Kevin started with the string and quickly handed it off. After about 10 people got the string, I got my portion of the string from Kelsey Bryant. I'll never forget what she said about me to give it to me. She told me that I was one of her closest friends. And although at the beginning of the week I had accidentally pulled her earring out and ripped her ear, that I was a sister to her more than just a friend. It was this incredible blessing she had given me. After much thought, I handed the string to Becca Johnson. Becca has been one of my friends for a long time, but after a week of spending time in activities together, we had gotten much closer. At the end of the game, with tears in almost all of the eyes, the string intertangled between all of us, a visible demonstration of our connections to one another and our growth this week through God. I realized that with my group of friends, they aren't the only people encouraging me. I have an entire youth group here for me. Acts 2:44 says, all the believers were together and had everything in common. I realize that it even goes beyond my youth group. There's so many people here at South Main that are there for me, and that's awesome. I am not alone, and I never will be because I have a church family. Not all of my relationships in my life have been this family-like. I have a friend that I have been really good friends with since 6th grade. She's one of the nicest people I know, but rather boy crazy. She teeters from boy to boy with about a week's time in between. When she begins each new boyfriend, all of her friends take a backseat to him. She makes him her sole priority. I've stuck by her through countless breakups and makeups. But sophomore year, she started dating a boy that I didn't know very well, but I hadn't heard the best about. I tried to wait their relationship out, but I quickly lost her. Although we still talk from time to time, we never are as close as we once were. Losing her has taught me that although I have good friends at school, my friends in faith are closer. They are family to me, and this family is forever. My dad has come to this church since he was on the cradle roll. Some of his brothers in faith are here. When Thad Griffin died, I remember clearly coming up here to the gym so my dad could write Thad's name on the three-point line in order to remember Thad in the right way. I have been lucky enough to find a group of friends in my church that I can call my sisters. I know that through thick and thin, we will be there for each other as believers that have everything in common. When people get baptized here at South Main, we begin by recognizing the family that has come. Then we recognize the people who have been with this person in activities in South Main. When I was baptized, this action meant the most to me. To see the people that I've worked with in Balk to Broadway, youth activities, and regular church life really proved the point that people of South Main are a family. We promise to be the family of God for them in this place. We promise to be a family to anyone who follows Jesus with us. How amazing is that? It's like we're writing the books of Acts all over again. We are what makes the church, and having what Acts states as everything in common in worship allows us to put differences aside and worship in the right way. It allows us to be a family, not just in the sanctuary, but in every place in our lives.